everyone. Welcome to the May edition of Deal Talk. I am Cristina Darr, and I am the Executive Director of the Commercial Loan Broker Association. It's great to be here with you. Terry is taking the month off, so we thought it would be a good time to have the ladies take over Deal Talk. With me today, I have Jenna Seidel. She is the Operations and Experience Manager for the CLBA. Welcome, Jenna.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
So we are going to talk about several things today, but first of all, we wanted to give a little bit more of a background about ourselves. I joined the CLBA just over a year ago, and I come from an events background. So I have worked the past 25 years in project management and events. If you've ever been to any kind of party in your life, I've probably thrown the same kind of party or big community event. And I've worked most of my career in the state of Indiana before moving to Tennessee. And I'm here at our headquarters in Nashville, Tennessee. Love it here, and I'm super excited to be a part of the CLBA and work with all of you. Jenna, can you tell us a little bit about what you've done in your background?
Yeah, absolutely. So for about 10 years, I worked at another training company working with people who wanted to become commercial loan brokers. I helped support that training company, and then after that, I helped support the new brokers with their marketing initiatives, getting them in to attend industry events, as well as planning a large industry event. So I do have extensive experience in planning impactful and helpful events for individuals in the commercial lending industry. That was a big draw for wanting to join forces with Scotty D, Terry Luker, and Jeff Luker. I love supporting brokers in their journey as a business owner, and I knew that joining the CLBA community would be able to do that, especially since we also have the Commercial Loan Broker Academy that is very focused on educating and supporting both emerging brokers and seasoned brokers as well. So I'm looking forward to continuing to build that community.
And you do a great job with it. I think we found over the past year that we also have our director of marketing is Leah Waldrop. So the four of us with Scotty really complement each other's skill sets. And it's been great joining this team and working with you all who have more experience hands-on with brokers. But like I said, we each kind of have our niche that we work well together in. So it's been a great year, and I look forward to many more as we are really focused now, right, Jenna, on planning our conference and expo for 2026 coming up in November. So we wanted to come together today to talk a little bit about brokers having a community and why it's really so important for brokers to have a community right out the gate. So even when they're first learning and getting on board through our academy, that's something that we stress is that you need to have a community. Can you share a little bit of your thoughts on that, Jenna?
Yeah. So one of the things that I have come to learn through my experience working with, quite a few brokers is that their success doesn't rely solely on them. You can be the most driven, ambitious broker, but if you're not willing to cultivate a network or be a part of the loan broker community, you're definitely going to experience different obstacles. I think, it's extremely important kind of in any business, but specifically as a commercial loan broker, to be a connector and to be someone who is willing to share resources and knowledge. And I think that's where, community comes in. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about the CLBA and our mission to create a community for commercial loan brokers. I think there is something to be said about a professional who is willing to show up and share information, talk about industry insights in a meaningful way, and who's also willing to connect people whether it's connecting a broker to a new funding source or a funding source to a broker, or maybe even connecting a service provider to both a broker or a funding source. So those are the
Mm-hmm.
people who I feel have stood out in the industry and tend to have the most success. And that's why I think, community is so important.
Right. And, Terry and I were just at a conference this week and we saw that in action. We were at our booth and we had other lenders coming up to us and brokers that really wanted to know what we do and to see if, our products could complement their products. And then I was able to say, well, do you know about the Commercial Loan Broker Association? And had some really good conversations and got people excited about what we're doing. So that was really cool for me to see as well that people want that, right? There was a young broker, he said, oh my gosh, I haven't heard of this. We would love to come. Please send me information, and was excited to go back and call his colleagues at the office and tell them about it as well. So I do think that not only are we providing a service that we think is valuable, but the brokers think it's valuable as well. And that kind of brings us into our next point, that attending conferences can be one of the places where you find a lot of that community, not only being part of an association or an established group, but attending conferences where you get a chance to meet people from all over the country. We were local here in Nashville at this conference, and we met people from every coast and in between Canada, and even other countries came to the conference, and we were able to speak to people from all different areas, which was not something that you're going to get if you just sit at home in your own backyard, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, one of the things that I love about conferences is it allows you to connect with people in ways you normally might not think about, right? So, an
Mm-hmm.
example that I have is being someone who is behind the scenes. I can be very observant, but also I kind of blend in. So, people don't always notice, that I'm in line with them at the coffee shop. And this last year, I saw a couple attendees talking about a deal, literally just waiting for their Starbucks coffee. And that might not be something that you get to experience in your local community necessarily. So, you know, the individuals that I saw, they shook hands, they exchanged cards, they talked about how they could help
Mm-hmm.
each other. And that's just getting coffee. That doesn't include the opportunities that you have at different networking events or even in breakout
Mm-hmm.
sessions. So when you attend a conference, it really is like potentially 24 hours of connection, no matter where you are, taking the elevator down to the event floor,
Mm-hmm.
moving between breakout sessions and general sessions, sitting and waiting for the next general session presentation. Those are all times that give you the opportunity to network, and obviously
Mm-hmm.
we have an exhibit hall that allows you to network with funding sources and brokers and service providers as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I really love those rare or different opportunities that feel really organic for connecting. And it's not like
Right.
you're not going to like a local business owner or a local banker being like, hey, let's get coffee. It's much more organic than that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think those are really great ways to create meaningful relationships that
Mm-hmm.
start with a personal connection rather than a professional one.
And you really have to force yourself out of your comfort zone sometimes too,
Mhm.
because if you're in the room and your nose is in your phone, or maybe you're feeling a little nervous about starting a conversation, you don't get the benefit. You really have to just find something to start talking about, like, oh my gosh, I like your earrings. Where did you get those? And then it turns
Yes.
into, I got them in this state on this trip, or, when I was
Mhm.
doing this, and it goes from there. So I think that's a really key point as well, is showing up is half the battle. But
Yes.
then really participating with your whole heart while you're there is the other half of it too. And we've received the feedback from people who have been at our conferences and others that, like, wow, this happened. I wasn't really expecting that, or I had this benefit, or I met that person. And for me, being new into the broker industry, it's been really fun to see the connections that I've already been able to make in a year and getting to know people and asking questions. And then at this conference we just attended, being able to really speak to what's happening and meet some of the people in person that maybe I've only seen in an email. So that was really fun. Okay, so the conference is over. You showed up and you did a really great job of talking to people. So you met a bunch of people, you have their business cards and email addresses, and now you're back home and it's like 3 days later. Now what do you do?
That is a great question. I think one of the most important things to remember when you leave a conference is that you need to follow up and remain consistent throughout the rest of the year. The work isn't done once you collected that business card. So, some of the things that I recommend when you attend any event is to connect with people on social media, especially LinkedIn. That will help you stay cued in to what they're up to, what they might need, and how you might be able to help them in the future. Also allows you to engage with them in a quick and short way that can sometimes feel authentic and meaningful as well. Um, you should also look for opportunities to provide value to your connections. And again, that's where LinkedIn is a great way to do that. Get on people's mailing list and, pay attention to their emails, pay attention to what they're sending out to you. So that way, as you're out making additional connections, you might meet someone that you can connect them with. I have already mentioned staying consistent, and by that I mean reaching out often, but in a way that is helpful. So see how they're doing, see what they've been up to if you haven't been able to connect with them on LinkedIn or if they're not active on LinkedIn themselves. Nothing hurts when you say, hey, how have you been? What have you been up to? Anything new going on in your area?
Well, they might have been working deals in like a certain industry or have more experience with a certain type of deal. And then you run across that same kind of thing and you're like, hey, I actually know I met Sally at that conference and I know that she does a lot of those kind of deals. I bet she could give me some insight, because it's like, don't reinvent the wheel. Don't make the same mistakes that she made if you can get advice from her before you start.
Yes, absolutely. So I think these are all ways to be able to position yourself as a reliable resource and to build like long-term trust and credibility with the connections that you make at a conference, because those connections can be really quick. So it's important to put in the work after the conference as well.
And one thing that I found that was super helpful is I have a digital business card app. And so a lot of times people hand cards and then they get dropped or lost or whatever. But that digital business card is in your phone. And like I was able to just open it up and be like, yep, I have you right here. And then follow up with some things right after.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. I'm surprised I haven't seen more people doing that, but I love that. Another digital option that you can have is if an event that you're going to has an app, you can oftentimes scan a QR code in that and then download any of the connections that you've made. So that's a great way to do that in an organized fashion as well. One of the things that I love about like our event specifically is we do have an app that allows you to do that. So every person has a QR code that can be scanned, and then you can later on download any of the connections that you made. And then we do leave the app on year round, so you can continue to network with individuals that you might meet at the conference. And so diving a little bit deeper into what to do, after you've attended a conference, I encourage everyone to really become a member of the community, whether that's through joining like a professional organization or an association. They tend to give you additional opportunities to connect with people in a way that is a little bit different than, just sending them an email. An example that comes to mind for me is at the CLBA, we do quarterly workshops and weekly webinars. And, the quarterly workshops offer members the opportunity to learn and engage with, not only the individual presenting, but other members in the community. And, they get to hear questions from other members. They get to hear real life scenarios from other members as well. And, the webinar series offers members the opportunity to meet 2 new funding sources or even a service provider each week, where you can connect with them on a different level and ask them different questions, follow up with them after the webinar series as well.
Right. And there's so many different lending products out there that we encounter. So I found that really interesting, actually, that there's all different lenders, there's all different products. They all have a little bit different way of doing it. So attending that, not only do you get to meet other people and ask questions, but you really get to, it's like a front row seat to the best education, like right now, what's happening in the industry.
Yes, absolutely. And, you can take the information that you learn from these webinar series or workshops and share them with other brokers or funding sources or service providers. So I think that through, attending conferences is a great way to start building the community, but then joining some sort of association is a great way to actually embed yourself in the community as well.
And for an industry like ours that is so spread out, it's nationwide. People are sometimes the brokers are working on their own out of their home. Sometimes they're in an office, but going to these conferences is a really great way to kind of bring it together, make it tangible and feel real, and get to talk to people about, what's happening on the day to day. So you really have to put that effort in to maintain that throughout the year. And like you said, these are great ways that you can do that because of the technology we have now.
Yes.
We can stay connected. Right.
Absolutely. For sure.
Okay, so because I'm an event person, I am always the most excited to talk about our main event of the year, which is the Conference and Expo. We call it CLBA 26 when we're referring to it here. And this year it's going to be in Indianapolis at the JW Marriott, November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Jenna and I recently visited the JW for a site visit to do some more in-depth planning. And we had a really great time. And I walked away even more excited with just the facility, and, the food was delicious. It had beautiful views. Now, I did used to live in Indianapolis for a few years, so I am pretty familiar with the city, but I know, Jenna, you're maybe not quite as familiar, and you've just learned more and had a chance to see the hotel and see how nice everything was. So while we were there at the visit, we got a chance to talk a lot more about the conference and what's coming up. And something that we were very intentional about was getting a lot of feedback from last year's conference in Orlando and kind of taking steps to improve things that maybe didn't go as well as we hoped, take feedback from our attendees to see what they are looking for. So I think that's what I'm most excited about this year for our conference, is just seeing all of those changes and improvements that we made and how they're going to make for an even better experience for our attendees. Specifically, we increased our expo hours, like we've been talking about, that time to network and make those connections. We're going to have expo hours kind of kicking off the day more often, and coming back to the expo in between, varying up what people are doing, not sitting in a classroom doing the education sessions right in a row, getting a chance to stretch our legs, chit chat, go have a chance to sit down, do some learning. I think that'll make for a more enjoyable day. And also just looking at how things are laid out and having things closer together. It's really exciting. We're going to have a really great layout of the hotel where we're right next door to each other. We don't have to walk far to go from one thing to the next. So that'll make it a little bit easier to stay connected and together. What are you most excited about, Jenna?
So that's a hard question because I love everything about the event, obviously. But one of the things I'm most excited is actually new to our agenda this year, and it's called Coffee and Connections. And shout out to our sponsor, Baker Garrington. We appreciate you supporting this particular agenda item because I think it's going to add a lot of value to the attendee experience. But what it is an opportunity to connect over coffee. You know, the name is kind of obvious, with all kinds of attendees. So it's taking place around the registration area. So attendees can come, get registered, and then move over to kind of like a coffee lounge where they can all network and enjoy a nice cup of coffee. One of the reasons we implemented this is, you know, we often have people who are excited and ready to go. And so they come to the registration desk, they get registered, and they go, what's next? And sometimes we in the past haven't had anything for like hours. So our goal with this was to implement something that people could check in and go immediately do. That was also meaningful and could potentially, you know, set some good momentum for the event.
Absolutely. And then we're going to go right from that coffee and connections into another super exciting part of our agenda, which is not new. It's actually the second year. But last year we debuted our women's luncheon, and this year we are doing it as a brunch. So we're going to mix it up a little bit. As we're ending the coffee and connections, the ladies are going to head over to that, and the guys are going to get a chance to go and grab some lunch on their own before we head back for the main meat of the day. But we are going to have a great time again with our ladies panel, and we have RCN that's putting that together with us this year again. We're so happy to have that partnership, and all indications are that everyone loved it last year and they can't wait for it to happen again.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that I'm excited about the women's brunch for this year is we are switching up the format a little bit with a little bit more of casual eating format so that there's a little bit more room for networking before we move into the panel. So that was some feedback that we got last year that we are working on implementing for this year. So I know last year's event was very impactful for a lot of attendees, but I think giving that extra networking time where, you know, women can come together and just have conversations about what they're experiencing and what they're doing in the industry is going to be really great.
I agree. I'm looking forward to that a lot.
Yeah. Another thing that I'm looking forward to is the, you know, number of new exhibitors that we're going to have this year. So we have quite a few new people coming in, and we are looking forward to seeing them support the industry and our attendees as well.
Yes, and I actually wanted to talk about one of our new partners that we have coming this year. Banesco is actually our general session sponsor for 2026, and they are an SBA lender. So they are nationwide and in Puerto Rico. They do loans $350,000 and up. And they are also open to larger unsecured loans. So we're super excited to have them. They said that they really like to focus on acquisitions and buyouts, CRE purchases, and they just are looking for businesses that don't have negative revenue trends. And DSCR over 1.2 in the past 2 years. So we are excited to have them. Like we said, we love to have new people. We love having our returning partners, but it's great to have these new partners in as well that can maybe offer a new product or, you know, just be another option. As we know, people have different appetites at different times for different kinds of loans. So having more options on the table is always helpful.
Yes, absolutely. And I think one of the you know, things about having new partners joining us really speaks to that the industry is looking to have more community events where we can bring people together. So I love to see, you know, that the industry is kind of reflecting how we feel, which is that brokers and lenders and service providers need a community. So I'm looking forward to meeting with new partners on site because obviously I get to meet with them beforehand, but it'll be good to put a face to the name and, you know, talk about how their support is helping the community.
So yeah, we're really excited to be in Indianapolis this year for CLBA 26, and registration has been open, but we want everyone to make sure that you get registered right away. We have early bird pricing does end. You can currently save $200 off of the full price of admission to the conference, so it's definitely worth it to just get signed up now. We have an amazing registration website that has tons of information about the accommodations and other things traveling. You can see the agenda, all sorts of information there. So you should definitely check that out. You can see that on the screen here. And that early bird pricing does end June 30th. So make sure that you get in there and get registered now so you don't miss out.
Well, thank you so much for having me on today, Cristina. I love talking about the Commercial Loan Broker Association, both from a membership standpoint as well as a conference standpoint. I do just want to encourage everyone to reach out to us if you have questions. We are here to build a community, and we welcome anyone to attend for the first time or to join the CLBA as a member. And I am happy to answer any questions you might have about what the membership includes, what the conference looks like, and what you can expect to experience when you're on site. You can also reach out to Scotty D if you've already been working with him on anything else, and he will be happy to answer your questions as well. So thank you again for having me on. It's been great chatting about it.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. And like I said, we have that really amazing registration website. So you can go in and just look around and get information before you register. You don't have to commit to registering. I encourage everyone to check it out and go from there and ask questions. And like you said, we love to talk about it, and we want to help, and we want to see you there. So thank you so much for watching this edition of Deal Talk for May 2026. And we will be back next month in June. Maybe we'll let Terry come back. I don't know. We'll see how we feel. This has been pretty fun. But everybody have a great day, and thanks for watching.